Number 1, Olsen on the carry, picks up a yard, brings up 3rd down and goal. Ball carried by number 22, Gordon. That's enough for a Rebel 1st down.
This morning we are so pleased to have the Rich boys right out of the original Pell City Avondale Mill Village, straight on for Coach Rich to the Golden Eagles with Southern Mississippi football, and he never left the football field. He came back to Alabama and began to coach, and he's just become a legend. And we have Pete Richfield at Pell City High School, and having taught with him for many years, I have to say that he's the most beloved football coach Pell City ever had. And young people today still flock to his house. Now, they're young to me. Some of his football players are probably in their 60s and maybe headed toward 70. But to me, they're always going to be those young Friday night boys. And Coach Rich made such an impression. His brother Lamont is 2 years younger. One's 89 and one's 87. And they're getting ready to share some wisdom with us. So, Coach Rich, will you go back to the early days, you and Lamont, being part of what was lovingly known as the Mill Village here in Pell City, and tell a little bit about your neighborhood and the family feeling everybody seemed to have?
Well, we was all, if you lived in Avondale Village, and your folks usually worked in a mill. And that's where Avondale School was at that time. Miss Bubba Roberts was the principal. The school's moved over on the highway now, Bubba Roberts School. And how everybody that lived in the village went to school there. I was telling that her a while ago. I said, when we was raised, it was kind of like a big family over there then. And I never knew anybody that lived in town until I went to high school, because we went to the 8th grade over there, then we went to high school and started in the 9th grade. And that's where I got to know most people over there.
And Lamont, what was it like for you growing up behind Coach Rich?
Well, it's pretty rough sometimes. I couldn't keep up with him. We just went and played from daylight there. But I want to tell something about my brother here.
Okay.
He, everybody calls him Coach or Pete. But I'm going to tell you what his real name is.
Uh-oh.
His real name is Larry Eugene Rich.
Right.
So I asked Mother one day, I said, Mother, how did Pete get the name Pete? It ain't even in his name. He said, well, when y'all was growing up down here in the Mill Village, y'all was all over the village playing, running daylight to dark. She said, I don't remember the guy's name, but they got to calling him Pistol Pete. And that stuck with him, so whenever they're back in those days, everybody started calling him Pete. So that's how he got the name Pete.
Were you always interested in athletics?
Well, I can't remember that far back, but most of the time, back over there, we'd go out and play in the yard and all day, and a bunch of boys play football. I guess I would. I don't know if you probably remember, I got really interested when Coach Harris, Miss Elizabeth Harris, moved here to Pell City. He played at Auburn. And I really got connected with him, and that's where I really got interested in playing sports and everything.
And did you follow, and you were as active in the sports programs?
Yeah, I like sports. I like football, but I would rather go hunting. I used to have a bunch of beagles at the time, and that's what I'd like to do, hunting, I was thinking. But I enjoyed football, made a lot of friends, and we had to, I don't know if it was, but my junior and senior year, we went undefeated for 2 straight years.
Who was your coach then?
Coach Will Glover was the coach.
Oh, Coach Glover.
Yeah, and it's like he said, that's where I met my friends that I never knew till I got to high school. I'm friends with today, like Roy Love, Jimmy Scott, and that bunch. We called them town dudes. And I asked Jimmy Scott one day, we was talking about the town dudes, and when we got to be friends, and they were afraid to come over to Mill Village, and I got to be friends with him. I say, well, Jimmy, come over to Score at the house, and we can go over there and play. I don't know about going over there. And I said, well, they ain't going to bother you. You'll be with me. So we got to be real close friends, and he'd come to my house, and I would go to his. So then we went on through high school, played football together, and still great friends today.
But you got to understand one thing now. That's all we knew. Avondale to us was a good thing, and to our folks, because everybody lived there to walk to work. We didn't have a car. We never did have a car till I was way up in high school. Or nothing like it.
There wasn't a need for one.
Well, we couldn't afford to know.
What else in Pell City was there to do besides sports and hunting and so forth?
Like most people back then, our mother expected us to work. She never did care if we played sports or not. I've often talked about it. I remember when I started playing high school ball, she said, what time do you get through on Friday night? I said, about 9:30. She said, well, you hurry and get home. You can go to meal on the third shift and work. And I said, I asked about doing that a while. I said, Mother, the game don't get over till 10 o'clock. Well, you can go in the morning. You can ask them. She expect you.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way things were back then. Most of those boys worked over.
And how many years do you know exactly that you spent in the Pell City school system?
20, I think about 21. Should have stayed one more year, had everybody coming back, but I figured, you know, it's been good. And a lot of people are talking about the playoff. Well, you know, I coached with good coach. Well, the thing about it, when I come to Pell City, I don't want to get into that. I brought this boy with me. I played at Southern with, you remember. And I asked him, was he going to stay with me? And he said, yeah, well, I already known that. He's bad about moving around, and I changed coaches much. I said, well, I never was crazy about being the head coach because my idea, I come here to live. As long as you're a head coach, you're looking for something else or somebody coming to offer you a little more money. So I made my mind up. Our daddy at that time, you know, wasn't doing real good. And I just wanted to be here, tell you the truth. So I just said, I'm going to take. But every time somebody leaves, they would ask me, reckon who they ought to get. I mean, I don't make no bones about it. I coached in Birmingham, had boys like Bill Burgess that played at Auburn, Coach at Jacksonville, he played for me, Birmingham, Reggie Allen, signed with Auburn, all them boys. And I went to Sylacauga, and Mike Battles, who coached here, played for me. He used to stay over at the house about half the time. He'd come see me all the time. Steve Rivers played at State, and Chris Mitchell played at Georgia Tech, and they all just played. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart. They know better ball players there than they are at Pell City. I had just as ball player. Probably, ain't no probably to it, but I hate to say this, but the best quarterback I've ever seen is David Gulledge in high school.
Yeah.
It's David Gulledge. I mean, he was just unreal.
I remember going to watch him in baseball, and he'd stand flat-footed in the outfield.
Throw that ball.
Throw that ball right to home plate. It like a.
He could stand flat-footed and throw that football 50 yards like a. And he played at Jacksonville, you know, and.
He was one of my favorites in the classroom.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I saw him the other day, and Mike Brown went to Clemson and all like that, and.
And Bubba Roberts, the stands chanting, Bubba.
Bubba was great.
He had the student body behind him.
Bubba was great.
And I don't know, some way you would make the boys not be arrogant about being football players. I think they patterned after.
Well, you know, the thing about the way I looked at that, my own boy didn't play football. He played football in junior high. And I told him, I said, son, I don't care if you ever play football. I don't care if you play nothing. The Lord didn't give you to me to play football. He gave me to you to raise and love you. So I ain't going to be no happy if you play or don't play. So he played tennis and basketball, and he was good at it.